Take a look at your life today. I'd imagine you don't have to worry too much about food shortages. You probably don't have the Black Plague or any epidemic level disease. And if you do get sick, you can visit the doctor and have medication to help yourself get better. These medical breakthroughs have led to an age of prosperity for the human race. All of them can be attributed to the success of the scientific area known as epigenetics, which is no longer funded in the United States. Today, I will teach you about epigenetics, what it is, and give you more examples as to what we have done. Then, I will discuss with you how far we would be if we had not been discontinued in funding 10 years ago. And then, I will separate the myths from the facts in the misconceptions of the areas of study in epigenetics. So what is epigenetics? According to dictionary.com, epigenetics is the study in changes of organisms caused by a difference in gene expression rather than genetic code itself. Now, that doesn't really make sense, does it? So what it really is saying is, although every organism might have a similar gene strand, there would be a different level of importance for that gene. Epigenetics is like a dimmer switch when genetics are like the light bulb. If you want a dimmer light, you can just turn down the epigenetics or the light switch. But you wouldn't have to replace the bulb itself every time you wanted to change something. An example of epigenetics that might hit a little closer to home for us Iowans would be corn. Motivated by a need for much food in large quantities, corn was created through genetic modification in its most simple form of crossbreeding. Initially, the weed known as teosinte, it only grew a few grains at a time. Although, eventually, it became the high yield and sturdy crop that it is now, and has allowed us to feed more than 4 billion in the last harvest, worldwide. Another example would be that of polio, caused by the polio virus when attacking the spinal cord. The polio was an epidemic in the United States in the early 20th century. Through epigenetics, the polio vaccine was created and allowed the body to become stronger against the vaccine and helped to fight off any infection or polio that would be caused. But all of those examples were in the past. If studies were currently funded, projections show that we would have an answer to one of the biggest problems in epigenetics today, and that is of the missing heritability, essentially stating that children aren't exhibiting the same traits that their parents do, and we don't exactly know why. This is the cause of most birth defects that we do not have an answer to. And if we were to be able to solve this problem, projections state that we would be more than 200% increased effectively against the prevention of birth defects. But Russell, I hear you say, is it not wrong to conduct experiments on harmless animals for our own purposes? And you do have a point. Although since the 1980s, these sorts of experiments have been strictly prohibited by the North America Scientific Ethics Foundation, stating that no longer are scientists allowed to research on lab rats without given proper cause and going through the proper procedure throughout the entire course. But Russell, I hear you say again, we're playing God, and no mortal man should be given that power. Although this is based in a good moral debate, I would like to quote Ramez Nam, stating, "To play God is the highest function of human nature. Without our urges to play God, life today would not exist as we know it." Following that same logic, I believe it is our moral obligation to help those in need to the best of our ability. And we must remember that removing an obstacle does not always prevent growth from being made. It adds more chances. So the next time the debate of epigenetic studies arises, I hope we all remember our goals and how well we've done so far, our potential for success in the future, and even where we would be today if we hadn't stopped it in the first place, and our moral obligation to help humanity as it is. Thank you.